Producer here checking in. It is, well, August 16th, 2019, about 8:37 p.m. here on the West Coast, and you're looking at the live view of Yellowstone National Park up there in Wyoming. Getting kind of dark up there, obviously, and also some live data coming in there from the seismograph stations scattered throughout the globe here. A little bit of earthquake activity to talk about in the Kansas region today. We've had quite a few earthquakes popping off down there, or over there I should say. Now Kansas, you don't really think of earthquake activity in Kansas, right? Maybe you're going to think about tornado activity and severe weather, but Kansas definitely does have earthquakes. Nothing big, but today there's pretty much a good handful of minor to, well, I'd say lower moderate type earthquakes, but definitely being felt by a few folks out there, quite a few folks actually out around the Hutchinson, Kansas area. You can see here on the earthquake 3D globe, we get a 4.2, 3.0, 2.5, 2.7, 2.6, and 3.1 over the last 24 hours. Now the 4.2, of course, being the bigger one that was felt out there by quite a few folks. I did do a little research into the region out there, as far as taking a look at the fault systems here, and see if I can bring that up here. That definitely got pretty big. 1 second here. Well, there's not a lot of fault systems out there in the Kansas area, folks. The only real information I could find on it, on any fault systems out there, is through Wikipedia, and this system right here is called the Humboldt fault system. Now, that's kind of just east of the Hutchinson area, where this earthquake activity is taking place. You can see the red line over here on the upper right hand corner there, kind of extending from Nebraska down into the Kansas region, into somewhat central Kansas, but nonetheless definitely stretching all the way across that portion of the state. Now, according to these folks, the Humboldt fault, or the Humboldt fault zone, is a normal fault. All right, if you can figure that out, normal fault system over there, kind of strange. Or a series of faults that extends from Nebraska southwestwardly through most of Kansas. Kansas is not particularly earthquake prone, ranking 45th out of the 50 states by damage caused. However, the north central part of the state, including Riley and Potawatomi, I don't know if I mentioned that or pronouncing that correctly, but is the most prone to earthquakes there. I guess back in 1867, the biggest one, of course, around this fault system here was a 5.5 on the Richter scale, being felt away as far away as Iowa. So not a whole lot of information on these earthquake, or on these states such as Kansas. There's not a whole lot of earthquake activity and fault systems to research, but the ones I did find is just that Humboldt one right there. Let me shrink this map down here a little bit. This one here even got pretty giant. As you can see, I'm always never prepared, but I attempt to be. I try sometimes. Here's an overview of the USGS map, 2.5 earthquakes and above over the last 1 day. And of course you can see the 4.2 over here on the list near Hutchinson, Kansas. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here so we can get a better overview of the area. Hold on a second here. It's been a long, hot day. Okay, so let's move over here a little bit. Kansas right there in the middle. Got Nebraska up there to the north. And on that fault system map there, you could see that the fault itself was kind of over east of this area near Hutchinson. So not specifically on that fault system as far as this earthquake activity goes. I did research and look online there for a couple articles in regards to past earthquake activity in Kansas, and of course they had some earlier this year. I think back in June. I think they had the small 4, probably about the same size as this one here, 4.2. And a lot of folks out there in articles kind of leaning towards injection water waste, fracking, so to speak, out in that area as like I say, the only fault system I could find, or natural fault system, was that Humboldt fault, which is just east of the Hutchinson area and away from this earthquake activity. So more than likely, we're looking at fracking activity being the main cause of these earthquakes here. And like I say, we can zoom in right around the Hutchinson area, very closely actually, within that city area. And of course you got Hutchinson right there. When I go and put on the, let's see here, I don't know if it's going to let me. I was looking at the satellite here just a short time ago, seeing if I can find any type of injection wells or whatnot in this region. But now this thing is kind of being weird, and I'm not for sure why. I did an update on the OBS system that I use, which is Open Broadcasting Software, and ever since I did, I've been getting like a lot of frame rate issues, and also mouse or pointer accuracy. When I click it on the map here, it's like way off of where the actual pointer is, so it's kind of hard to click buttons here or click columns on my end because the inaccuracy of the pointer is very frustrating. But like I say, I did look a little bit on satellite here. I did not see any type of injection wells out there, or any type of pumping operations within that region, but that doesn't mean that that there isn't any out there within the vicinity. So yeah, it's not out of the ordinary for Kansas folks to see some earthquakes out there. It's just kind of strange. We just don't hear about it too much. Yeah, it's just being really being strange here on this end. So anyway, let me back out of here real quick and move to a different area here on the map, and that's going to be off here on the west coast, Northern California, off the coast of Southern Oregon. They did have a 5.4 earthquake out there, out in the Pacific Ocean here. One second here. Faults. Yeah, this that 5.4 that occurred out there in the Pacific Ocean, right around the Gorda escarpment out there in the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, kind of close out there around the Cascadia subduction zone, but just west of there in that region, in that Gorda escarpment. And then that was followed up by a 3.8 a little bit closer inland. Actually, looks like the 3.8 took place first, and then a 5.4 happening there just a little bit later. Anyway, Southern California activity still looking fairly active. Not a huge cluster of quakes out there in the Golden State, but yeah, I'm having all sorts of issues with this thing tonight. I might have to bring this thing down or live stream down here in a little bit and see if I can't fix it, or at least go back to an older update, because this thing's not acting like it should. Oh yeah. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not acting like I should. That could be it. Yeah, see, when I still click on, I tried to click on the Ridgecrest area, and it took me over to the Bay Area, so the inaccuracy of the pointer is very off, way off. But nonetheless, folks, earthquake activity occurring out there in the Ridgecrest. Nothing big. They've had a couple threes, couple upper threes there over the last couple days or so. But no doubt, earthquake activity is definitely expected here for months at a time, or months ahead, I should say. And it's possible aftershock activity could continue for a year or so, following those pair of large earthquakes down there July 4th and July 5th of this year in the Ridgecrest area. Looking globally, most recent earthquake's going to be a 4.5 out here around the Mediterranean Sea region. So we're going to have to watch that area pretty closely and see what's popping off there. Other than that, a lot of activity out here in the United States, folks. Intermountain West region seen some earthquake activity. As I mentioned, last night, I believe, Yellowstone earthquake activity was kind of on the ramp up, kind of like a squeeze of activity, so to speak, before we happen to see that 4.2 that struck up there in Montana last night. That's going to be this earthquake right here in the blue flag. Since then, activity has calmed down a little bit in Yellowstone National Park. But still, definitely seeing a pressure gradient of movement here over towards the south and the east here, out towards the Kansas area. Kind of right there on the bottom of the North American Craton region there, the old landmass there of pretty much solid, like an area. Hold on a second here. Yeah, an area of the North American Craton there that really hasn't moved anywhere. Relatively stable, I should say. Of course, everything around it being the mountains to the west, the Rocky Mountains over here, and then some mountains over here towards the east. Pretty much a stable landmass. But that earthquake activity there around the Kansas area looks like it could be right on the edge of that American Craton region. But anyway, folks, yeah, so I'm going to end this update video and probably end the live stream until I can figure out what's going on with this issue, this update that I've had. Maybe it's a bad update. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to try to do a couple updates on my end as well with the drivers and whatnot, see if I can't get it working back to how it should be. So in the meantime, hope everyone has a good Friday night, safe Friday night out there. I am going to go out there and brave the mosquitoes and do a 4K video of the moon tonight. I know I shot a video of the moon with the Nikon P1000 here a couple nights ago, but that was only in about 1080, 60 frames a second. So I'm going to try to do a 4K video, which the Nikon P1000 is capable of doing. And I got a remote for the camera as well, so I'll prop it up on the tripod, and it should be a lot more stable without me trying to zoom in and out, adjusting the the zoom. It kind of shakes the camera a little bit, so I'll have a remote to minimize that impact. In the meantime, folks, have a good night. We'll chat you guys a little bit later. Stay safe out there.